Hey there, thanks for joining us at the Rabbit Hole of Research, where you'll learn a few facts that you can impress your friends with at a party.
Hey, welcome back to the Rabbit Hole of Research down in the basement studio. You've got Joe.
You got Nick.
Nick.
Hi, I'm Georgia.
We got Georgia, and for episode 24, we have a guest joining us.
Hello, I'm Bill Halliar.
Why, hi there, Bill.
Hi, guys. So awesome to be here. This place
Glad to
is super
have
cool.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome to the basement studio.
So tell us a little about yourself.
I am a storyboard artist and a creature and character designer, and sometimes, if I'm lucky, I get to make some of my own comic books.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. What kind of comic books you got?
I've done a
Sorry,
lot.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I saw the look on your face.
I've done
like,
a lot of different kinds over the years, but lately I've done a lot of horror books, which has been really fun. But I've got a couple of kids growing up, and yeah, I see some images on the wall here.
Yeah, Bill, actually, it was the Cryptic Closet Horror Anthology 1. It was a Kickstarter, and one of the reward packages was that you would be drawn onto the back cover, your likeness being, tortured by the crypt closet keeper. And
That was the first time I saw you. It
That's
was
right.
when I got to decapitate you
That's
for
right,
the
yes.
drawing on the back cover. It is
There
a
it is.
strange way to meet someone.
First time I decapitated you. Congratulations,
You know
Joe.
what? But it was not the last.
No, that's right. Yeah. That was not, I think episode 3 or
Yeah, issue 3 there. That one was pretty cool, too.
Yeah.
I was happy with how that one turned out.
Oh, right there.
Yeah. So look at that. There's your screaming, disfigured face.
We'll put a picture of that on
Put them up there, yeah.
the meads.
That is one thing. It is a strange thing to be able to do this and have people excited. Hey, how are you going to kill me? What are you gonna, how much of my face do you need? Is some of it going to be ripped off? What's going on?
Do you need which side do you want? The good side, or is it the...
I'd prefer you get my bad side so it looks better.
It's perfect for horror. She's got a face for horror.
And no one wants to hear that.
No.
Well, so
I don't know. I think keep that to yourself. I had to work really hard to make this look like that. Well, cool. We're not here to talk horror. We're here to talk about the best superpower.
Yes.
And so that's it. And
I feel like it's very fitting for the Christmas season.
it is. That's for the holiday season. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what is Santa but a superhero?
I was going to say
Yes,
super
that's
villain.
right.
You
but
think so?
Yeah.
He does. It's pretty creepy.
He watches you all year round.
Keep an eye.
Sliding in and out in the
the
dark of the
house.
night.
Yeah, he sounds like a reverse burglar.
Leave stuff. What if he swaps out? What if he's swapping out?
What is he stealing?
Gifts, and he's just going. He's like up in it. Oh, here, I'll take this iPad. He goes
And you
to the
don't
next
notice
place,
it
like,
because
right.
you're so excited
That's
about all the
right.
presents that you forget.
You didn't know what you were getting,
Yeah.
so you're just like, oh, look at this. I got.
So how does he do it?
How he scopes it out for months, and then in the dead of night, he knows they're not going to know this family heirloom's gone. Steals it, gets out of there, leaves a little box of something.
Easy peasy.
No.
It's all coming together.
No.
Yeah, I
know.
I think you guys
Here
have
it
broken
is.
this wide open.
Yeah. And now you're on the naughty list for sure.
Have I ever given up that?
I had usually set the stage a little bit.
What's
with
your
a nice
definition of a
definition there,
superpower
in,
here?
in a list? So I have both of those things because I know
Nice.
people love the definitions in a list. So I have it. Superpower defined as an extraordinary ability or set of abilities that surpass the normal human capabilities, often existing beyond the laws of nature, biology, physics, as we understand them at this moment. At least are generally confined to the realms of fiction, superhero comics, films, literature. That's where we see it, because in those narratives, the powers are often used to solve problems or overcome challenges that are insurmountable to conventional human skill or technology.
That's very
And that's kind
comprehensive.
of the definition to frame our conversation a little bit. We got started there with Santa Claus. And this thing, so
I have a little present. I don't know if you guys are expecting this or not, but I know Marvel gets a ton of love on this show.
Yeah.
I see myself as an ambassador for all comics, and I think I can bring the DC love today.
Yeah, there
for
is.
sure.
Finally, we
For
got
sure.
somebody here at DC.
Absolutely.
Like,
I mean,
we've had so many people yelling at us.
Yeah, I can bring all of that stuff. Franco-Belgian
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Manga.
Right.
It's just great.
Yeah, but
There's
yeah,
just tons of good stuff
Guerrilla
out
Publishing. We can get that love there.
there. I don't think they have a superhero yet. Maybe I'm working on
We're gonna
something.
do it. We'll
Oh,
see. Oh, heard it here
spoiler
first, yeah,
alert.
right?
Yeah. Look for it. 40 years in the future.
See, now if you could time travel, you can already have it here.
Episode 250.
Oh, that would have been perfect.
Yeah, it's right.
You just have to go into the future and murder me to take it.
Yeah,
Oh,
But you
damn.
bring it back, then you'll like drop the book of like the bets that were won over the last. That's a different plot.
It's a real
Sorry.
problem.
So I wanted to put the list together in the way I like a list of superpowers, and then we could go from that. But I said, what was the fun in that? So what I thought of is, can I rank the superpower categories?
Oh, wow.
From plausible to hand wavium. And we've talked about a lot of these over the season. And as this is the penultimate episode, next episode will be our recap episode. But we've talked about a lot of these superpowers, and there's some we haven't. But I thought I would just go through the list quickly. I have about 11. You'll hear me talk, or I guess you can jump in and interrupt me because that happens.
What? I never do that.
Yeah, well.
It's all Georgia.
Excuse me? No.
Vampires are
list.
not an apocalypse.
Okay.
No.
All right.
So many episodes later, we still are going to give you shit for
vampires
that.
are not on the list, okay?
Really? I'd consider a vampire on the list.
All right.
Because you can live forever. That
You live
seems like a
forever.
superpower.
You know how you feel about the sexy vampires, Georgia. Okay.
So I'm going to start with the plausibility high, and that's a physical augmentation. And so these are just normal human abilities, which have been amplified, augmented through technology, biology, or training. Super strength, enhanced agility, regeneration, enhanced sensing, even faster speeds, things like that that you would have there. High technology-based powers in technopathy, so brain-machine interfaces,
Love it.
cybernetic enhancements, powered suits. That's not been
Sign
done in
me
any
up.
comics.
Yeah.
So
I feel like that's actually been done in real life now, hasn't
that's-
it?
plausibility is high there.
Like,
That's,
I
yeah.
would have put that as number one.
I
If that would.
I don't think, if you think about it, if you have it, they still have limitations compared to maybe comics or fiction. Like if we think about the arc reactor,
Yeah,
we don't have, right? I mean,
nothing
so
close to that.
Right. So we're getting there, but we're not there. If we're thinking about, I'm comparing these to comics, like where are we at in relation, or can we get there one day? That's how my list is being judged there. But yeah, and there's already also with biological kind of augmentation, we're starting to do things like that. And we've talked about that in some of the episodes that we went through. That gets into the biological manipulation, which is moderate, and that'll be more shape shifting, size manipulation. We talked last episode that shrinking isn't possible, but potentially you could leverage growth and things like that.
This is news to me, guys.
But Santa,
The,
isn't that how he gets down the
that was
chimney?
just our last episode. I don't know what you guys are.
I don't know why you
being
think
funny.
I would
So,
remember something like this.
Healing factor, advanced stem cell therapy. We're moderate, might not be a Wolverine, Deadpool level, but we are sensory perception enhancements. So these are powers that are enabled through technology, maybe neuroscience advancements, moderate X-ray, night vision,
Virtual
telepathy,
reality.
memory
maybe?
manipulation. We were talking about the lab at MIT, the Dream Lab, and so they're working on implanting memories, things like that. So we are seeing
Man,
that.
we
We're
really are
working on
wrapping up this whole
I know.
year.
It's
This
all
is-
coming together. isn't it?
That's why this is the penultimate episode.
Is this when we just started yelling Avengers Assemble?
That's right.
And a single tear slides down my cheek every time.
I'm expecting everyone to start clapping immediately at the end of this episode. God damn, this is where we end it.
So we have symbiotic powers, moderate. So this is a symbiote binding where we're merging with AI or alien entities. We don't know of any alien entities, so
Yeah.
might be a little difficult.
Yeah.
What about like our gut biome? That
Yeah, I mean, you
symbiosis
do
we already have with them.
symbiotic with that, right? Parasitic absorption. So there are organisms which do absorb or latch on, and they do become part of that organism. So there are examples in our environment that have these kind of abilities. So that's why that's in moderate. We go moderate to low now. This is energy manipulation. So electrokinesis, pyrokinesis, cryokinesis, that's controlling electricity, controlling fire, controlling ice, cold. So that one in light manipulation. Maybe you could go, oh, we got lasers, things like that. So some of this is like, maybe, but it's probably, you need a bit of hand wavium to get there. Environmental powers, weather control, plant manipulation. There is some research. We can make plants grow certain ways, but are we like ivy, where you're manipulating, having vines grow out of things? Animal communication.
I never understood why she's a villain. She's just trying to make the earth grow again. And we're all like, nah.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't get to
that's
do
why
that.
so many people are like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I'd rather root for the billionaire over here.
Or just go. I don't know what's her origin story. Do we know?
You
that?
know, honestly,
You have to put that in the show notes.
I think she was a scientist that was like studying this, and then
Right.
like she got some kind of poison radioactive
Right.
plant bit her.
Oh yeah,
Like a
maybe it was
plant
maybe it
bitter.
was like a fly trap.
Does she eat? Is it like Invasion of the Body Snatchers style? She became like a pod person.
I don't know. I think she's like Superman. She's got the chlorophyll in her blood, and
She's
she
got chlorophyll in her
absorbs
blood.
the sun.
I don't know. That's a lot of hand wavium there.
If he doesn't, if she doesn't, somebody needs to.
She
That's
does
a definite
photosynthesis.
I am a
character.
big fan of the Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing, that's right. Yes,
He's
yes,
all
yes.
green. He's all
All
swamp.
green. Algae and
Aren't there
cyanobacteria.
3 things that are like that? Swamp Thing, Man Thing, and then
Swamp Thing and Man Thing came out like in the same month.
Yeah.
When they first arrived. It was in the air for some reason.
Yeah.
But there was something called The Heap from a different publisher
Yeah.
years before that sort of inspired both of those guys a little bit. But
Yeah.
the Swamp Thing's got that swamp stuff. The Man
right.
Thing is like supernatural in some way.
it's
And
supernatural, but it's also like of the swamp.
yeah, he's got
It's-
that in there
it's-
too.
right.
Shaggy. But he burns you when he touches you if you fear him. Yeah.
So like mind manipulation, which
Yeah.
is plausibility low.
Low.
Right there, nice segue. I like it. Guess we're right here, we're there. But we thought we had an episode on mind control and kinesis. It's plausible. Like we made it work with some biohacking. We're still trying to sign up volunteers for that. They go to Michael's van and
Yep.
you know, get a
I'll
little
be in
crisper.
there. A man down by the river.
And on that note, so that was funny. On that episode, I talked about the early comic that was written here, The Reign of the Superman, by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. And it was in there, this early science fiction #3. It was considered a juvenile fanzine. And so
From
to
what year?
1933.
Wow.
And I really
That's
wanted
so
to
cool.
find the story. And so I looked for it. And there was an auction, and an original copy went for $50,000.
Oh, wow. Wow.
But
And
I,
you
I
won?
went to,
And we did not
I did not
get that
win.
one.
Yeah, that's it right here.
I was like, damn, Joe. Congrats.
Oh, no, I've been using that as a coaster.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Ah, sorry.
And so I actually have it. It's not a terribly long story.
Not the
but-
$50,000
But yeah, and
one.
no, I got it on Amazon. It's actually like a little.
It was like
'cause it's
$3.
actually in the public domain. So the story, so that they put it together with some other kind of narratives about what Supermen are like. But the story was where the guy, a chemist, evil chemist, had got a rock from like a meteor and was testing animals, and then he wanted to test a human. So he went to a bread line. Remember, this is the 30s, early 30s, so the Great Depression was on. And he promised this guy a suit and some meal.
We did talk about this. In
We did talk about it.
Wow.
And
I was like,
he
wait.
signed up for it, and
That's
he's
a
like, oh.
low
And
threshold.
so he gives him this little rock, and then he gets these telekinesis kind of powers. He can see into the future, and so he goes, and he just becomes this evil dude. And then the scientist is like, whoa, he's going to become an evil guy and do all these bad things. We should kill him. But then he's like, I got one piece of rock left. Maybe I should take it. And then I can become a Superman. And then the Superman kills him and then
Don't
realizes.
spoil it.
No,
I mean,
you-
I think you're
Yeah.
okay, Joe.
Yeah.
I'm with you on this one.
1933.
What
Yeah.
that made me think of, because you were talking about Superman being evil, and that's this
Right.
origin story, like this, not origin story, but an
right.
original
Yeah.
story about a Superman.
Man.
But did you guys saw that movie where they made the Superman character evil.
Brightburn?
Yeah, I think we did
Yes.
talk about that one too.
Brightburn
didn't we?
or Brightburn?
Brightburn. Yeah.
That was really good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was
I
that
don't know.
produced by James Gunn or written by James Gunn? I can't remember.
I can't know.
I don't think it
know.
was written by him, but it might have been produced.
Because I know
produced,
he
yeah.
had his hands in it at the same time as Guardians was coming out too.
But they
right,
also
right,
talked
right.
about that they were going to do a whole series of
That's
them
right, yeah.
and do a
Yeah.
lot of different characters, but the
Right.
evil
I think they were going to go
version.
through all the
And then
DC kind of characters.
they didn't do that,
took
did
the
they?
Yeah.
logical path of
No, I think it ended.
the pandemic, I think, happened.
Yeah.
I think they came in and sucked the energy out of it.
There is the opposite side of the coin for pretty much all the heroes, that just a thin sliver separates the superhero from a super horror. I don't know
Yes.
if you guys have read the Barry Windsor Smith Weapon X storyline. That's like how Wolverine
Yes.
Yes.
got his
yes, that's
bones.
right.
It's a horror movie.
It is.
It is
No, that's right.
terrifying. If you told it from the perspective of a scientist in this out of the way Arctic outpost, suddenly being confronted by this mindless killing machine just shredding his way through everybody,
yeah.
it would be a fantastic horror film
Right.
instead of
Right.
just
Well,
like,
I mean, that's Logan, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you read
exactly.
that. I mean, that graphic novel, you go through it, and it's just him. At the end, everything has been lost, and him and a blind Hawkeye
yeah.
Old Man
are
Logan?
crossing America, just killing everyone.
And then
There
seeing
no
the way
way-
Hulk was
Yeah,
with
that's
that,
right.
like
yeah.
I do
That was
feel
a
like
whole weird story with that Hulk thing. yeah,
it was
that was like
they got
they're real dark,
rough.
and it's like, whoa, all right.
So maybe there's a reason that
Yeah.
usually most of the most popular stories
Yeah.
are not.
Yeah.
They are doing forces for good.
Yeah. I don't remember when Superman came out originally. So how long
Yeah.
before
And
Superman came
right,
out?
that would have
was
been
this story?
Superman Action Comics number 1, 1938.
And this was
1933, right? Yep.
So it's interesting that their first take on it,
Yep.
apparently at this point, and it was like a scary take on somebody
Right.
with this power abusing it, and then Superman is actually flipping that on its head to say, what if he used it for good?
And it's also, that was my preamble about the concept of story. Having your superhero like that, it sets up a good story narrative
Yes.
at that time. And so you really can play off that and those tropes, especially a Superman story. It has that.
Do you mean for them to be for good?
Or
yeah.
to change the story, because that story there about this kind of super
Just total
psychic,
destruction kind of
it's the story is bizarre, right?
Unsustainable,
And
maybe?
you would need a counter to that who can stop them. And then if you were there, you wrote that story, you go, well, what would the person be like who could stop this ultimate villain? You would then go, oh, that would be the real Superman. Who people, let's make that a Superman, and still have the elements. They have the meteor.
Yeah.
They gave some power, but took it away. They have this whole thing where it was a
It's interesting, though, too. In 1933, we were really in the Depression and things were really dark. And I think maybe by 1938, things were looking a little more hopeful.
But yeah,
Maybe that had
you want
something to-
something different. You don't want to see the same doom and gloom.
Yep.
Like-
38 also, you were at the cusp of World War II. So you also had the politics there happening where Germany was, pre-World War II Germany was becoming a fairly, yeah, we know that story. And so, so you had, I think that was also happening there. So you're right, America was coming out of the Depression, but you also did on a world stage. And at that time, America wasn't a world power yet, like we are now. We were just up and coming, fragile,
Scrappy
country, right?
So how did the scientist get the meteorite into him? Did he just say, here, lick this?
Well, do you like you want me to tell? I can tell you, because I actually read it. I was like so curious. I'm like, I'm going to read this story. Actually, like in the meal. He snuck it in like,
Oh, it is in
So
the meal
that
he was
is-
giving
yeah.
out.
I mean, that gets
Oh.
into some like ethics
Oh,
stuff,
boy,
right? Like
seriously.
A lot of
like,
ethics
When you
there.
have like Wolverine, I mean, you have this ethics kind of question of superheroes, especially you have that in
Right.
the comics. You have a lot
You
of
get these powers.
I'm just going to sneak this on you, inject you or whatever, and then I'm going to see what happens. And it's,
This goes back to when we were talking about how so many scientists do
Yeah.
end up becoming villains in comics and stuff, like in media. You can do a lot of shit as a scientist. Like, you
I
couldn't
kind of
mess
blame
with
Tesla. You know, he was a spooky lab up on a hill where he was building strange machines, and he was giving those huge lectures where he harnessed lightning and stood inside of the middle of explosions and things like that.
But to your point, Thomas Edison, he was killing elephants.
Poor Thomas.
What, wasn't Benjamin Franklin working with cadavers and people were like freaking out about that?
I think
too?
a number of people at that time because of reanimation.
Yeah.
And they were, and electricity, right? Because he was the first to harness electricity in that way. There was some experimentation, like what can bring back. And
so you scientists have an eye on you.
Exactly. They're always on the edge.
Yeah. And back then, too, the ethics, there was no,
what ethics?
You guys do whatever. Yeah. It was just like, just get some guy in a bread line. Come back to my house and I'm going to give you this thing. So
give you a succulent Chinese meal.
Right.
But that's an interesting point. Does most superpowers happen wittingly? Or that's not even a word, is it?
Yeah, I think it is.
Is it?
I think so.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
We'll give it to you on the rabbit hole of research.
Okay, thank you. But
People
like,
will yell at
you
you
know what I'm
later.
saying? They don't seek out the superpower. It's put on them. Spider-Man got bit by a spider, or
I
this
think
guy
you're right.
got fed rocks.
There are a few people who go after it.
Yes.
But for the most part, it's usually something they stumble across or a mistake.
I guess if you're trying to do something and then you inadvertently convert yourself, it goes two ways because if that happens. Either you're very angry and you become the villain, or you're like, oh, this wasn't so bad. This was the anticipated outcome. And so I'm going to be the hero. And it's somewhere just genetic. If you think about the X-Men, they were just born that way, right? They were evolutionarily different than human. It's almost a different species, right? That was Magneto's argument, that they are now a different step in the human evolution.
Yeah.
And so they weren't, in terms of their powers, they were born with them. But you didn't have a class who were experimented on or had an experiment in mind that blew up in their face, literally. Or then they were,
like Luke Cage.
Yep.
Right? Yeah, blew up.
No consent there. He was put into the chamber as like Wolverine. There's a lot of that. You're in a bad place mentally, financially, whatever. And it's, hey, you know what? I'm going to help you out. Why don't you come down to the lab? And I was going to run a couple tests. And then 2 weeks later, you're now got super skin and punching through walls.
So what you're saying is never trust a scientist with their hand out?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Or,
unless you're looking for superpowers.
I'm starting to really regret that meal I had before I came down here.
Yeah. You really got to go. You got to be desperate too. Like you got to really put yourself in that situation. No one just goes, oh yeah, I'm doing really well in life. Let me go be part of this experiment. It's more, man, I do
that every day, Joe. What are you trying to say? I go down to random vans and be like, hey, you guys doing any tests in here?
For that test.
Yeah. I saw this sign up. I came in.
Is this where you have the glowing rocks?
I'll lick them. I will lick them.
See what happens.
I'll put a bunch in my mouth. Don't worry.
How many licks does it take to get to the center of the superpower?
Is it bad that I just swallowed this? Is it bad? My stomach feels like I have rocks in it. More than one.
Back to I had that three more.
But you're still not dead.
We haven't even
Sorry, I might have jumped.
No, it's fine. So we take the rabbit holes where they go as a little pause, because I'm now extremely low, getting into theoretical now, the hand wavy magic and mystical powers, spell casting, necromancy, summoning, divine powers.
Well, this needs to go higher up on the list.
Yeah, I was gonna say
fairly extremely low.
It depends on who you talk to.
Have you talked to Grant
Magic is just
Morrison?
science.
It's like
hasn't been explained yet.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna hand wavy.
Look at you with your electricity. What, you're going to tell me that it's not magic that I can flip a switch and the lights turn on?
It is not magic. So I'm going to move on to teleportation and spatial manipulation. Extremely low to theoretical. And we had some discussions about teleportation. I don't know which episode it is, but
that was like 4?
Teleportation and Nightcrawler come up quite a bit. And I did want to bring up, you guys never came across, have you ever heard this theory about, I think it mostly comes up with the Star Trek style of teleportation, where they do a scan of you.
Yes, right.
They beam you down.
Yes.
And people are like, hey, wait a minute. What a waste of all this energy to beam your matter down. There's matter down there. We just take a scan of you, fly style, and use that scan to rebuild you on the other side from the matter that's already present on the planet. And then, like you say, ship
nothing,
Theseus.
nothing could go wrong with that.
That's not you anymore.
We had talked about this a little bit about that and reconstituting the matter.
And
then
everyone that gets beamed back up into the ship is just shit.
You would have, because then you would have two of yous, right?
So they would have to just get rid of the version of you that got on.
Right.
So you're actually dying every time you are transferred.
And what was the fidelity of the copy?
It's
right?
perfect.
You start to,
but eventually there's a possibility.
This is how you're going to become a supervillain. Because you're going to be like
less and less
hey,
good.
Drink no, they do say that.
Why don't you drink this?
Star
It's going to make you perfect.
They do.
The further you go, you get what, teleportation,
or like the fly.
The fly.
Or Jeff Goldblum.
That's a good version of that. Yeah.
Who's
I've
Jeff
never heard of
Goldblum?
him.
The rabbit hole of research, ultimate alien award winner.
I believe you only gave that to him. Georgia and I have held our reserves.
Well, the awards we given now.
There's a great character in a book by China Mieville. The book's called Kraken, and it's full of craziness and some superhero stuff. And there is a character in there that is straight up Nightcrawler-esque, and his whole deal is teleportation. But it's that kind of teleportation he eventually figures out. He doesn't know it. Every time he teleports, the version that jumped dies.
Yeah, right.
A new version of him appears with the same memories. So he thinks, that's me. I remember until he realizes he's haunted by ghosts of all his past selves.
Oh, that's so cool.
And that's how he finds out, wait a minute, I'm dying. I'm not the guy who teleported last time. I have the power to teleport. Next time I do it, this me will die. And a big part of the story is him like, there's things to do. There's teleportation that needs to happen. But he also knows it's going to kill this version of him. And
the sacrifice.
So what happens to his bodies? Are they just like dead bodies flopping everywhere?
They just disappear. Unlike in The Prestige, the book The Prestige that they based the movie on, those bodies hung around.
I think that'd be hilarious.
Then it would just be where are these dead bodies? Like the investigations are being opened. Like the cops, whoa. This is the same body we had last time. What's going on?
Does that happen when Harry Potter goes through the fireplace? Does something like that?
No, I think maybe that's why you do in the fireplace. They just have a little pile of ash.
You sweep that up and use that for the next person.
Perfect. The multiple man, right? Isn't there they go and that's like a teleportation. It's almost because and then there's another one. And they don't die though. They're just there.
Yeah.
Like they're parts of them.
I think I've seen some stories where they don't go back into it until they die.
Yeah, right. This energy returns. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Time manipulation, theoretical. That's time travel or time freezing. And I know maybe at time travel, we did talk about that. They're under the general relativity, wormholes, extreme gravitational fields. But manipulating that as a super person, hand wave you. Time freezing, like in Sex Criminals.
That's a great book.
It is. That's great. That got so meta.
Yeah.
That series, like as you go through it, it's like they just had the fourth wall. The writers, they were just like, they had this little thing about mental health. And you're like, got deep. It's this fun little thing. And the premise of it is that, and we keep it PG-13, is that when the female protagonist has a orgasm, they stop time. So there you go.
And that's a superpower?
That's...
Is this what that one...
It is.
There's something about that is, but...
That's every... I don't know. It fits in my definition, so I'm going to call it a superpower, yes.
She threw on a costume, started running around.
Right. Yeah, no.
I got 30 minutes. Go.
Until she found someone else. Then the reality warping cosmic powers, impossible, 1,000% hand waving.
Which one? I'm sorry.
Come on.
Reality warping. So this would be the powers that would fundamentally change the nature of reality itself. Something that.
So can you give an example of a character that does that?
Like Thanos in the Reality Stone. So that's the one where he would go and change it
by snapping, being able to. Is that what it is?
That,
I believe that Charles Xavier has a son, Legion, and
Yep.
he has those powers.
Well, that's because isn't he like mentally insane?
Yes. Yeah, and he can manifest his insanity in the world around him.
No, that's a
They do a
superpower.
fun
yeah.
series with them too.
Legion,
Yes.
that one was really cool.
Like
yeah.
they
I
do
really
some
like that one.
really cool runs with him.
Yeah, another existence erasure. So where you
Oh, you're
kind of-
still going?
No, it's just a part of reality warping where you now eliminate someone completely from all known history and things like that. Which
Oh, like 34th Street?
I don't remember.
it is stop. We're gonna get calls on that one. We're already gonna get emails. He's talking about
About Miracle.
yes. Is that
Is that right?
That's why I never wanted to be born.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
See?
that's a wonderful
I know.
thing.
That's why he's asking. I thought you would say something about not existing. I don't know. Right. He's like prodding you again. That's why I was like, don't
He's
do
just
it.
trying to get me.
It is Christmas, so go,
That is
I had to.
true.
Right,
It's
right.
the holiday season.
go watch Die Hard. And
Perfect.
he doesn't have a super. Maybe he does. I mean,
Who doesn't?
He's like a Batman.
yeah, he is like a Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
He
McLean
doesn't have any
McLean
in
powers.
Die Hard.
the guy in an outfit. His outfit
he
is
has money.
sleeveless.
Money is the
I wish
superpower.
that's the superpower I want, guys. I want enough money to be like, I broke my arm. Oh, I'll have it fixed in a day.
Yeah, there it is.
No, that's true.
I'm gonna throw money at doctors
So-
until they fix me.
Lick this.
That's right.
Wrong
Here's this
doctor.
glowy
Pick the
thing.
wrong
Here you go.
doctor.
I make house calls. One of the things that I did digging around on this, trying to find some interesting little tidbits, is Alan Moore,
Oh,
Uh,
he is
you
an
know,
interesting tidbit.
Watchmen,
All by himself.
V for Vendetta,
Isn't
Batman,
he a
The Killing
wizard?
Joke.
He is.
But
So
he-
I think we have to go back on Joe's thing.
middle.
Yeah, I think that has to get bumped up.
Well, they're still.
He is a wizard.
No. Oh, yeah, little. It's like a sing-song thing.
I
going
saw
on.
that.
That's
What's
like jazz.
happening?
That's
It's
jazz
so- It's
hands.
like just wait till we get video. It's gonna be
Wizard hands.
what Alan Moore said, and we got a comic person here, is that most superpowers are useless, and that he gave the example, like if you have super speed, what do you do with that in the real world? Like you deliver pizzas faster.
Right.
If you have like kind of these superpowers, you're super strong. What do you do with that every day? Like you're a mechanic. It's one of these things where really, and that once again, that was that little bit I added in that beginning about the narrative, that generally the superpowers, which is like hand waving, is fit to solve the problem that the narrative is constructing.
Yeah. So
It's
without
interesting. I almost tried to make the list of the most useless superpowers. Like
that would have been that's interesting. But you're right. I think when you think about it through that lens, any of these could be useless. You know, if you're just somebody without imagination, somebody without interest in. All these people decide to put on tights and fight crime.
I
You
think
know,
if it
and
happened
in the real world,
I think you would default to being evil.
Oh, 100%.
Probably.
Especially
We've
if
been
you
over
were
this.
if you were like Batman level wealthy or Iron Man, you probably don't. Okay, you don't need money, you
Right.
don't need anything like that. But these superpowers also they lend themselves to that. If you're at some place,
Look at how broke
And you go,
Spider-Man is
right,
in
yeah,
so
right.
many series. He
you
is
could easily grab you could do that to get some cash. But it is
you're
also
invisible or
right. Invisible. You just get weird. Like
yeah.
peeping. What is that?
most
That's the one
people
with
who
Kevin
choose
Bacon.
invisibility
What was
is
that?
just going to be a pervert.
Hollow
Yeah.
Man.
Hollow Man, where he was like in there. It's just got weird. It's like, all right, let's peeping Tom to another next level there.
The thing that with Alan Moore, one of the things that makes him great, in my opinion, I think he's a fantastic writer, is I think thinking like that, he says stuff like that just to rile people up. a
No,
little
right?
bit, you
Of
know.
course,
But
makes
he-
good
he
talk
ta-
on podcasts.
Yeah, absolutely. But he takes the next step and maybe the next step and the next step after that. So a lot of comic books are pretty surface level, and you get a superpower, and then you need something for that superpower to come up against.
That narrative,
Exactly.
yeah.
Now we have a narrative. This guy can lift cars. This guy can crush cars. Okay, now they can fight. But then Alan Moore says, what happens to the world
That's right.
around two guys who can lift and crush cars and who are fighting in the street sometimes? That changes things. And I think Marvel, at least, likes, for the longest time, having things set in the real world. So Spider-Man's in New
Right,
York City
right.
and buildings that really exist, and things happen for real, and then Spider-Man's in there. But in reality, if Spider-Man were in the real world, he would change the world.
I think they do that
Or just
really well
all-
because
all
they
of-
end up
Right.
showing the progression of the crime that ends up starting. You get these villains like Kingpin that start to come to power that are like this over mafia person that is no shit. Just, I have no care. This is my city. And then he ends up reigning terror and having all these other small level gangs.
And also
pop
that's
up.
because, like Spider-Man, he has that internal good from his Uncle Ben, that the Peter Parker principle.
Great
And
power
you have
must
it-
come great
and
responsibility.
you would have
Peter
it
Parker
right.
principle,
The
that's-
Peter Parker principle.
Stanley would
Say
love
that.
that. That's
Say
fantastic.
that 3 times fast.
You have to go, and I think then you would have where he could easily potentially kill Kingpin.
Oh, yeah.
Kingpin isn't in a comic. He's not powered, but he is super strong,
He's very
and he has
strong.
some healing.
He
I
is.
think he's one of these fringe. He hasn't been tested by Magneto, Professor X yet. They haven't called him out. He just hasn't crossed. But I think he is or has that ability there that he is.
Some sort of mutant gene
That's
in
right.
there.
Yeah. But I think Spider-Man would take him. Could go in there and just kill him.
Yeah.
But I don't think he would.
Spider-Man can kill just
Punisher
a
would.
lot of people.
But the Punisher doesn't have no beef with Kingpin.
What?
I could have sworn he did.
I'm sure he does at some point.
Well,
The
Spider-Man
Punisher has beef with
Punisher does.
Punisher has beef with legit everyone.
Yeah. Okay.
Didn't they do the whole series where Punisher kills the Marvel
Just kills
universe?
everybody.
It's like, hot damn, Punisher, calm down.
I feel
But
like if Alan Moore took over like a Spider-Man, that we'd end up with, a world where you still have Spider-Man in there, but you also have, maybe like firefighters equipped with net guns
Right,
based
yeah.
on his technology.
Right.
And it's just
Well,
part
none
of the
none
world.
the cops, like, even
But
though
then
they
it
wanted
starts-
Spider-Man, they did not. No one ever. The humans never level up. Like that was the thing about the X-Men, and I mean there was all the overtone of kind of racial strife and that kind of allegory to that. But they did level up. It was like, oh, we need to make weapons that will take power. We need to make the Sentinels. We need to do. They were all.
Well, that's because
They relied
feared
on AI,
the
and then
mutants.
AI kind of was like, you know what?
Yeah.
Like, why am I listening to these stupid humans? Like,
We never learn. We just never learn.
They leveled that
Master
stuff
Mold.
up because of fear.
Right,
Like,
that's right.
people
Right.
don't fear Spider-Man.
I think
the only
they-
one that does is J. Jonah Jameson.
Well, right. I mean,
Like,
yeah,
he is the
yeah.
main cause of fear and hate about Spider-Man. But the X-Men are mutants, and
yeah.
you don't want to be a mutant. It's like,
But still, I think Spider-Man had his detractors, right? Not everybody loved him.
Yeah.
So I think someone would have said, oh, how do we, because even there were cops, there were fighters, and then they weren't all, they were split between, is he a vigilante or is he
Right.
really helping us? What's that line there? And then if you knew someone had that ability, and I was in the MCU, I forget which movie where Vision goes that us being here begins to elevate the threat because people will keep ratcheting up to match our abilities. So the greater the ability is that deterrent. Like you need the nuclear deterrent. If you have it, what's the biggest stick you have? And after that, then what's the
Right.
biggest gun? And after that, what's the biggest missile? And after that, what's the biggest weapon that will cause the most destruction? And then everyone else needs that. Everyone has to get to that point. And then you go, how do I make something even bigger than that? And I think that's the thing with superheroes, that eventually in a comic that does it right, and you're right, Alan Moore this is what he does, is that escalation is the conflict and tension. Not so much, let me go solve this problem, but it's really, how would you construct a world around these kind of, and what would they do in their response to world things and how they respond to it? Because you think you're doing something good, but really maybe the people that were impacted, it wasn't good. Civil War, I think that storyline where he,
Yeah.
which that was that idea that they did something good. They saved like the planet from cracking in half.
oh, you're talking about the movie. I
In
was,
a movie,
Not the real Civil War.
not the
no, I was thinking of the comic Civil War.
Oh,
yeah, like
it's all the way
Yeah,
back.
right.
in
Here's
You
no
got
one's
Grant.
thinking about the real
the
Civil War.
North and the
Grant's got
South.
his, General Grant's there punching out General Lee. He's up like, yeah.
My dearest rogue, it has been 17 days since we fought the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. How I long for your gloved touch.
No, I was speaking of MCU movie there,
'Cause-
where they had that was the premise of it, that Nemo?
Nemo,
No,
finding
Nemo. What was it? Was
Yeah, Baron Zemo.
Zemo,
Yeah.
not Nemo.
Who's
Nemo,
where
no.
are you going? Nemo.
I can't find
Sorry
it.
about that. Yeah,
I can't find Nemo.
Zemo. Yeah, Zemo. That was his whole intent. They saved billions of people. He lost his family, and that was then to him. They were all villains, right? They were
Yeah.
all evil and complicit in that destruction.
It's all
And
about
they created
perspective.
Ultron, right? So it was this whole.
Yeah.
It was their fault, really. Like the root of it was their fault, but it was like, yeah. So
It's funny, like in these stories, it's sometimes hard to decide if if they want you to explore more or if they're trying to scare you away from exploring more.
Right.
These,
Right.
I'm a big fan. H.P. Lovecraft, the author H.P. Lovecraft, a lot of his stories they're horror stories, and they're all about their scientists in there
Damn scientist.
doing things they're looking farther than they should, and they're learning more than they should, and that makes them go mad. And so that's scary. You see too much, and now you've gone crazy, or you just doomed the world for your knowledge. But then a lot of times he goes past that somehow, and maybe it's not so bad. And a lot of these same stories here are the same kind of thing. They're trying to protect everybody,
right.
and in doing so, caused more trouble than they were trying to.
That's what you get with the three laws of robotics, right? So as you go through it, then that's why you had to have the zeroth law that, you can't harm humanity. Because the machine that said, you know what, if we just take control of all this, then we can protect
can
all
help
the
everyone.
humans, we can make everyone super happy, and the people that aren't happy, we'll just kill them, and we'll just have all the happy people that fall. So it's this whole thing, and you have that same idea with the superhero. That when you go, and if the comics, they don't, like we mentioned a few times, the ethics of it all, that there are these things, consent, responsibility of power, environmental impacts. You're just destroying. They get one person that's also super. You're just, no one ever, you in a comic, just good splash pages of destruction.
It looks awesome.
But the cleanup and the displacement and the economic, who pays for all this stuff to be rebuilt? And I think you just move on to another city.
Well, that makes me think of in The Incredibles.
Right, yes,
How they
that's
keep
right.
having like,
And
we
they
got to
touched on
clean
that,
up after you every time you
That's
go.
great.
And, yeah.
Well,
But
didn't
that
Spider-Man
ethics was there
Homecoming
where
touch
they
on that
went
too?
and they went.
Because Tony Stark funded the cleanup.
Cleanup.
And then,
We funded the cleanup because we wanted the technology.
well, yeah.
Well,
So that's, I love Tony,
No.
but
it's
let's
pulling the
not,
wool over his eyes.
it was like,
Someone's got to take this
You're
AI
right.
technology.
But he ended up creating that villain
No, that's right.
in the MCU, not
right.
in the comic.
Yeah.
Yes, but you would have had villains. Someone would have siphoned off some stuff and licked it to see what happens, or injected themselves. It's just, you're just there. You're working. You're making minimum wage. You got some alien tech. Someone's
Might
going to
as
pay you a
well.
lot of money for it. You're like, they're going to pay a lot of money. What if, let me do something. Somebody's just going to, hack it, and all of a sudden,
Someone's going to do it. It might as well be me, right?
Now they can destroy a building and get away with it. The other thing that I do, and I get back to this, is calories. Oh, I love calories.
Oh, jeez.
So I picked a few, and you can.
How did we get to calories?
I
for
thought we
the
already covered the
superpowers?
calories.
We didn't some of these. Like I think we cover it as we go, but I think there's just some fun ones in here that we haven't touched upon, and some we have, but some we haven't. And
What you
when we
got?
take them, we haven't. I think we'll get into this in next season. But one was super speed, and I was just what the output would be. And so we baseline it on something that's normal human running, like 6-minute miles.
Okay.
You burn about 900 to 1700 calories per hour, 15 to 28 calories per minute. So let's say now you're going to run at 1,000 miles per hour. And the biggest problem when you start thinking about that, and you could calculate things as moving mass, is drag, right? You now have to compensate as you move faster. There's more resistance that will be applied. And so when you start to calculate that, you can start getting up to the millions of calories per hour.
Wow.
And that roughly is about 33,000 to 83,000 calories per minute. And if we're going to convert it into Big Macs. That's about 55 to 138 Big Macs. So that's the, and a Big Mac, I'm estimating about
many
600.
Twinkies?
Okay, that's good.
Calories,
Yeah, could
so,
you do it
yeah.
in Pepsis for me though, so I can
I'll put that in the
understand
show
it?
notes.
How many
What
donuts
foods-
you wanted?
I thought telekinesis and teleportation. I didn't do the calorie thing yet. Those are early episodes, and
Gotta
it
cover his ground.
Yeah, it's not a, why didn't you talk about that before? No, but it's all about how we think about it. And so let's just think you're going to move, and you have the conservation of momentum and energy kind of transfer. So you're moving one mass from point A to point B. And so if you think of, you have to overcome inertia, gravity, all the forces involved there. If you wanted to move someone,
Wait,
a
for which
person's
one?
mass, this is like telekinesis, teleportation.
Those are two separate ones, though, right?
If you move someone from point A to point B, or you move yourself from point A to point B, you could bunch those together. I'm trying to save some time here. So I'm just going to, yes, they're two different powers, but I'm grouping their energy caloric load
You
together.
think that the caloric
I feel
Yes.
like
would
I
be
feel like you're taking a shortcut.
equivalent?
That's why I preface it that if you're thinking of teleportation, there are other ways that if you open a portal,
Sure.
then the energy, I don't know what that energy is. And so I got to go on moving things. So I'm grounding this a little bit. I'm trying to take something that's hand wavy and ground it.
Do that one more time for me.
I'm not doing it again.
We need the
But
viewers
you
to
get,
see.
You get 100,000 calories to move something, maybe 10 miles, like a average weight person. We talked about like shape shifting in the werewolf episode, or transformation, shape shifting, 100,000s of calories to go through a transformation, bone structure, things like that. Super healing, we talked about that in the Deadpool Wolverine episode. We were up to about 50,000 calories. If you're going for accelerated kind of tissue, bone restructuring, just healing, burn victims, so you would have to expend these calories like that. Some of the low end ones, like super intelligence, our brain's super efficient. In the telekinesis, I think it was something like 20 watts or something. It's pretty low,
Yeah, that's
very
not
efficient. So
much.
super intelligence, it uses a lot, but you're probably in the hundreds of calories. Super hearing, vision, all that stuff. Once again, these are passive kind of superpowers, so probably not a lot of power.
What
or
if
energy.
you're generating electricity? Like, where would you fall on that power?
Yeah, so I think you would get into somewhat like a laser, like in a power wattage to come into there. And once again, it's not as much as you think, but you're probably in the thousands of calories per minutes for whatever time to go and generate that power there. But yeah, that's just spitballing that one.
Going invisible?
So invisibility would be interesting. And so it depends on how you do it, right? So you got to bend light, right? So we can make things invisible now, and you just bend light. So would that be a
Chameleons do
biological modification of your skin that's already existent? Or is it a modification that you have to call into place? So you're normal, you can see me, and then you go, I want to be invisible like a chameleon. Then you would have some crystalline or something form in your skin. So you would need the calories for that. So whatever that material would be that can bend and deflect light, that would then be, if it's already on you and you wear clothes, so then you got to get buck naked.
So
to
are you just
be
talking about
invisible.
stripping in
throw it
public?
on.
That's right, yeah. But you're invisible, so no one, now you see me, now you don't. Like, I mean, it is so you could already have it, I mean, your face, you'd makeup, I guess, yeah, there's things you can do, but yeah, that'd be passive, because if it's already there. But if you have to now develop it, then your cells have to make things and express it, and that requires some energy. So then you'd be the tens of thousands, probably count, depending on what it's making. I don't know. So that's where you're at. And like super strength and things like that, weightlifting, lifting a car. I mean, you're in the thousands of calories per activity, throwing a car. Really, the thing would be about maintenance, that you have to keep all this muscle.
Yeah.
And, that was like 50,000 calories a day, 100,000 calories just to maintain that physique and all those muscles and that strength to carry it around. So when we think about some of these things, flying was like out of this world. Because if you think running and drag, now you're flying. So you got to fly, and then you got all the drag. So if you're going like you think you're going to essentially use the same energy that a jet uses at some level. You weigh a little bit less, but you still have all that drag. So you're in the
little
millions of calories.
How much do jets weigh?
Ultralight jets.
Well, I love the idea of everyone just choffing on Big Macs constantly.
I think that should be the
You know,
comic.
just constantly.
yeah,
While they're fighting, I've got to keep my weight up. I'm going to just lose muscle mass.
I mean,
there's got to be some sort of heightened caloric injectable that is
Well-
just straight up,
Calories?
Yeah.
straight calories. You guys ever played Bioshock?
Yes.
You go around injecting yourself to change your DNA to give you the power.
Right, harvesting
and then
these
another
little
injection
angels.
to give you the power to use the power. Yeah, so if
Yeah.
you're just walking around with a bandolier of something,
Yeah.
amphetamines, I don't know.
That's not going to go. But I think you would also, I think any of the superpowers, you probably don't need metabolism changes, like your
Yeah.
consumption, energy efficiency, like our intake, we're at 25, 30%. I don't know. I'll put it in the show notes. Our mass to energy conversion, it's not that high, right? So we have a lot of loss here and there. So that kind of thing. So you factor all that in. So maybe the superhuman would have different type of metabolism, different type of energy conversion that's more conservative, so it actually can convert energy better. Maybe you brought up chlorophyll, so maybe they figured out some way to do photosynthesis, so the power of the sun, so while they're fighting in the sun the daytime, they're good to
Soaking
go.
it up.
They are just going, and then at night they have to go to sleep. That's, I don't know, maybe that's why superhero battles always happen during the day, not in night.
So would that be the biggest giveaway for superheroes then? You just look around for the guy just
Dream.
spending a half an hour, 2 hours,
Sunning,
just
like a
laying in the
lizard.
sun and eating hamburgers.
I
Big
feel
Macs.
like eventually one of these scientists would be like, you know what, here, just take this one pill a day. This is going to be
Yeah.
the calories
Some
that
high
you need.
caloric. You can start doing like synthetic, ultra processed things and get it down there. But yeah,
How
you
many
probably can figure out
cows would
something.
you need to have to supply your lifetime?
How many cows?
Yeah.
I just conversion is that cows. Are we're eating the whole cow?
It's the
Yeah.
Big Mac.
So all right, let's. So in the werewolf thing, we talked about that. If you eat bone, the gristle, the blood, everything, a human's 100, 200,000 calories. Like you can just one human.
Really, that's it?
That's it.
That doesn't sound like that much.
So can you be,
How many Big Macs?
Okay, I got to cut down on my lunch then.
I have a
If someone
question.
eats you, how much you need to, but that's just everything you got. That's so a cow is what,
For
2,000
humans?
pounds for big humans.
I
I have
don't
a question.
Yeah.
Could you be a vegetarian or a vegan superhero?
Oh my gosh, I don't.
Because would you get enough calories if you can't eat Big Mac?
That's rough.
You can if you're eating a hand wavium pill, a hand wavium burger.
You have to just drink a lot of Soylent.
Yeah. Yeah. If you eat people, would that be all right?
I don't
Are you
think
still
so.
vegan?
I think people are vegan.
Well, if you,
I think
no,
it is.
It's in consent, right? Because if they consent, they go, you can eat me.
Who's going to consent to that?
Go on the
Old,
internet.
I mean, they're like, I'm gonna do some good things. I'm gonna save
That
people.
does not sound like a sustainable.
I feel like this is a comic book
Wait.
that we need to write.
Yeah.
The
I mean,
vegan
it's like a vampire,
that's
right?
a cannibal.
That eats people.
people. Like a secret
That
serial
consents.
people.
That's
That
right. They're like a
consents.
serial killer. They eat people. That kind of consents. Like they, you
No,
know,
the
it's,
only way that would work is if they had some sort of mind control power to tell the person to consent.
maybe, and that's you're getting there.
I
now.
don't know. I feel like there's at least a few people out there that are like, you know what? Sign me up. I want to be eaten.
Yeah.
Do I have to go and do some
don't
research
know.
just so I can
I
point
don't
this
know.
one out?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. But it also depends on what your superpower is. If you got supervision, you don't need to eat that much more than what you normally is. A passive power, super intelligent. You're just going along, being super smart, doing like AI stuff.
AI stuff.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah, totally.
write me a bad comic, and then you're like, okay.
That's what we do with
all
super
right.
smarts now. huh?
Okay,
Right,
I think we need to rein this in. But
The other thing was references, like kind of modern references to superheroes, like when in our culture. So really, throughout our human history, the Epic of Gilgamesh has come up with a number of episodes, but it's like one of those early Mesopotamia Sanskrit kind of stories, and they have super strength. Gilgamesh has superhuman strength and semi-divine origin. So you can go into mythology, Hercules, Achilles, they all had superhuman strength or invulnerability by different means. In every culture, Hindu, Old English, African, Native American, you have stories of shapeshifters or people with superhuman kind of abilities or leaders that are like deities. So we jump to modern references. Someone can argue about this, but Frankenstein's monster, it was something that was created and it had super strong. It was artificially created being. So maybe the first superhero reference, that was 1818. The Invisible Man, H.G. Wells, that was 1897. John Carter and The Princess of Mars, that was 1912. He had enhanced strength, so he was on a different planet, gravitate, so he was like super strong and punching, killing creatures, the blue Martians or whatever.
Yeah.
Zorro, 1919, he had like super fighting ability. So he was there. He had this kind of superior
I think he
combat
was just
skills.
a vigilante that was really good at swords.
We have a number of those that we. And then Superman was 1938. That was that.
I'm not
maybe
saying
1933. We should say
Zorro wasn't a
but, yeah.
superhero, but like he was a vigilante.
All right. He had superpowers.
When did the Shadow? He was around
Who
a little
knows
bit
what
before
evil
those
lurks
guys.
in
And
the
he
hearts
had
of men?
mental powers to cloud men's
The shadow
minds.
knows.
That's definitely a power of some kind.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Like telekinetic
Mm-hmm.
kind of ability. Yeah. Yeah. That's when my uncle, when he would call the house and I would answer the phone, like, hello, this is Joe, who's this? And then
I like your little kid voice. Is that how you sounded as a child?
As a kid, yes.
Hello.
And he always go,
Oh, hello, it's Joe.
he would go, who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men?
Nice.
And I'd be like, oh, it's Uncle Jay on the phone. That was like her thing. Yeah. So that was, I actually have an album. I was digging for records and I found Shadow radio performance.
Oh, nice.
original.
All right, you guys have to back up. What is this?
The Shadow?
The Shadow.
He's like a proto Batman.
Oh,
He's
It was a
two-gun,
It was a radio show, right?
gun-toting. Yeah,
Yeah,
Orson
radio show.
Welles did the voice of the Shadow in quite a few of them.
Okay.
And he,
We'll play it.
I believe he
I
learned.
legit
like,
had no clue what it was.
never heard of the Shadow, really.
No.
Yeah. He wore a cape. He had a hat.
We'll put that in the show notes.
And you just saw like his eyes. And he would. It was very much like Batman. He fought criminals and
Batman meets
racketeering and things like that.
Minority Report, because he had some premonition and he would know who's evil. That was his whole shtick.
And
that
this was a radio show?
It was a radio show. Yeah, it started. Yeah.
You can imagine like Orson Welles really
That's
doing
right.
it up.
I'm so sorry, guys.
I think there was a DC comic for a while.
I was going to say it was DC. You were bringing
Yeah.
DC love. So I am.
Yeah.
Damn, Joe. Throw the guest under the
I know.
bus.
This show went on the air in 1930.
1930. all right.
1930. Yeah.
And I think he was pulp.
Yeah.
Like pulp magazines for years before that.
That was just a little bit before my time, guys. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
That was before Superman's time.
There is a wildly
Yeah. It was actually a radio show, and it was developed into a literary character in 1931. So it was
Yeah, but that
1930 it debuted
was
on
show
radio
first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then it went the other way. Yeah.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Do you have a picture of him, Joe?
There's like art by John Cassidy here. He's got like his guns ablazing.
Yeah, I've
That's
never
like
seen him.
Yeah, I could probably find like one of the first appearance with a detective story hour in 1930. So yeah,
If I remember right, there's a couple Shadow stories
This
that were
is
just whole hog stolen by
this
Bob
was like
Kane
the
and turned into
this is
Batman.
kind of what he looked like.
Didn't Alan Moore do this too? Or no?
He might have done a Shadow knockoff. I'm sure the Shadow shows up in his League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Okay.
Gentleman, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just can't remember now.
or someone like the Shadow.
Someone
yeah,
like
yeah.
an Ersatz Shadow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right.
got sidetracked there. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm like, who is
So
this?
what power would you like after that one? The plausible powers, the ethics of the powers, the calories of the powers. Where you at? Where's your head at, Bill? You're
Well-
staying a human, non-playable character.
It feels like, to me, if he could have any power, then one of these completely unrealistic powers, the idea of matter manipulation on a
Yeah.
atomic level, Dr. Manhattan, the Adam Eve, taking things apart, rebuilding them into anything you want, that sounds pretty awesome to me.
Yeah. What's the caloric load on that?
I
Can you eat
imagine
enough?
that's poorly. On the other hand, you could just,
Yeah, maybe you just matter up.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
you know,
I just made a thousand
Or you'd be
cheeseburgers in my stomach. There it
Galactus,
is.
right? You become like Galactus, gonna eat planets.
Yeah,
to
gotta bring it
points,
all
right?
down.
That's it. That's why he's so hungry. You know, I need to eat
That makes a lot of
worlds.
sense.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Georgia, where are you at?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I can't even think. I did think it was really cool that Wonder Woman had the rope that she could
Oh, the
tie
lasso
around.
of truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And make people tell the truth.
That's
that
good
was
stuff.
pretty good.
Yeah. So you're like a lasso of truth.
Yeah, why
Or-
not?
yeah, okay.
No calories there.
None at all.
Well,
That's
I
it.
Do you
also-
know how to use a lasso?
No,
Let me
but I could
rope this
learn.
around you.
Joe, just stay still.
Yeah.
Don't move.
You know what else? I also would love her invisible jet. That would be
Oh,
really
invisible
cool.
jet. But how the, just like flying through the air in this jet? Yeah, I don't know the invisible jet. Yeah. I don't know if that's a superpower, but I don't know.
Right. Okay. Fine.
Yeah, that's a great superpower. I'm constantly torn between Magneto's powers of magnetism.
Oh, yeah.
Straight supervillain for me.
So whatever power you have, you're gonna be a villain.
Probably.
You're
There's
just there, right?
We've talked
Right,
about
that's
this
right, yeah, yeah.
episode. There's a high likeliness of me becoming a
That's
supervillain.
it.
I can see it in his eye.
Yeah,
He's
it's
got
just
that evil
here.
glint.
Pure like chaos and rage. Or I don't know if it's just because I've been playing Spider-Man again, but Miles's powers set is great.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Like,
cool.
Yeah.
They OP'd him so hard, and I love it because it's so much fun
Super
to play
fun,
as
right?
him.
Yeah.
Like he's a great character to play as. And look, this year they just did the Alien vs. Avengers.
I've heard that's
And,
really
wow.
good.
Is
I
that
haven't
good?
read that, but
I started it, and little spoiler, but Facehugger goes on to Miles, and hot damn, is that suit dope?
Oh.
I think I might have seen a sketch of that. The face
Yes.
hugger Spider-Man suit.
And it's just like
Yeah,
on the
that's
chest
amazing.
with the spike. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool looking. I can't wait to see where it goes.
Here it is.
Joe,
Yeah,
where are
what
you
about
at?
you?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with plausibility and have to become a superhero. And maybe it's like because I'm just getting older, but I think healing, regeneration powers.
Yeah. That
I
always
think
sounds
that's
really
nice,
good.
and that's I feel that would be just I could use that some morning. Don't wake up, be like, oh, you know what? Yeah, no. I think that's where I would go. Just
I want
for
all the aches and
selfish-
pains to swing.
That's right. Just go.
Is
and,
there-
and you live. I mean, you're slowing down metabolism. I think
Yeah.
that's some of that slowing down metabolism, and then you're healing up, and you just got I'm going with that.
Would that translate to vigor as well? Like you could just keep
Vigor.
going. You could just keep
I
going.
think as long as you're eating your Big Macs.
Yeah. Because I think that
Or
would be
people.
pretty cool.
Yeah, hurt people.
It's people.
It's the second episode we talk about eating or drinking people.
With the magnetism, you can make human skewers.
Okay.
Okay.
Nick the Impaler.
He's got the evil laugh down already.
He does.
That's yeah. I think on that note,
Yeah. No, you know what we didn't do?
What are you drinking here, Joe?
Yeah, what were we drinking? No.
or what were we drinking?
Yeah, I had well, pretty much done. I had the Pipeworks brewing company right here in Chicago, the Lizard King, a mosaic hopped pale ale. That's what I got. Nick,
I'm going to ditto that with my Liquid Death Convicted Melon.
another liquid death
Nice.
there.
Not sponsored yet.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Fingers crossed.
Georgia,
Always open.
what do you got, Georgia?
Bill and I are drinking the same.
Same thing. Bill, who's gonna do the talking? Bill's ready.
I've got
And the
Mortal
guess.
Bloom. It's a hazy IPA. Apparently, it's a crusty and tropical.
Crusty.
It's citrus. I just read it wrong.
He needs
I like
he
crusty
needs
better.
the corrective eye
the supervision. Yeah.
power. But these were courtesy of Mary, our last
From a
guest.
few episodes ago.
Yeah, she brought
Couple
these.
episodes.
Very good,
They were-
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. All right.
Bill,
Thanks for.
Thanks so
joining
much for
us.
having me, guys. This has
it was a
been
lot
really
of
cool,
fun, man.
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
No, it was nice having you. We got to do something.
Next time you do something spooky, give me a
Spooky.
call.
It sounds like he's already
Yeah.
signing up for season two.
That's right. We got
Season
to.
2,
can't
right
wait.
around the corner,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
guys.
speaking of that, and it's just fun. Yeah. So maybe
Right.
next spooky season we'll get you.
How many sleeps until season 2?
How many sleeps? Only one more episode though, so be excited for the recap. You don't know what's going to happen on that one.
You never know who's
How-
going to show up or what's happening.
How many calories am I going to need to listen to this?
How many Big Macs?
It depends on your holiday dinner. Or maybe the largest douche.
What? And the episode comes out day before Christmas.
The episode 25. Actually, it's on the 25th, so
Oh.
it is on Christmas. That's right.
Is that what it is?
That's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is. That's what the big board says, or the little board, or a piece of paper. That's what my dad does.
Guys, we
Hey.
went down some
We
holes.
did indeed. All right, people. Stay good out there. Love you.
Bye-bye.